So stopping the project is not something you take lightly. But the question is, where do you start? Where do project managers start in the phase gate process? Well, let's just talk about that. So, like I said, in the development methodologies, right, waterfall, for example, we've seen phase gates for years and years, right? That is something that most companies have in the waterfall process, right? So, regardless of where they are in the waterfall process, it's important that you're using them. So, every company is going to vary on where they use them and where they put phase gates. But the process is, as long as you're doing them, that's a starting point. That's a great starting point. Does that make sense? Okay, so customers attending the phase gates as well, that's a really critical component to this. So one project manager running a phase gate process, another project manager running a phase gate process, and they both so happen to have that same customer, and that happens all the time. You want that process to be consistent, you want it to be scalable, and you want those processes to be applied across the board. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's look at that. So here is a typical software waterfall project, right? And here are the typical phases: requirements, design, build, and I'll give you a minute to look at those. Okay, now for this process, I put a phase gate after design, I put it after stabilize, and I put it after go, no go. Are they right or wrong? Nope, can't tell you that. What I can tell you is these are the typical phases, and in this example, I put these three. Here's another example. This time I put it after requirements, or I put it after stabilize, or I put it after project close. I can't tell you where to put them. That's your company has to decide that, right? Your company will decide where you should put those. I have some recommendations, I have some best practices, right? But it's not up to me. So again, your company has to decide where you put them, but the main thing is you're using them. And I can't stress that enough. There's so much flexibility and there's so many differences in how projects are ran and development methodologies such as waterfall are ran. So your company has to dictate those. One of the things, though, is I see project managers actually skip the phase gate process. They don't think they're important. They just like, yeah, I'll just move on, or I'll cram it with a steering committee and we'll just crank this off really quickly because everyone's so busy. I think that's a huge mistake, right? I think project managers have to use these phase gate processes to their advantage, and they have to checkpoint to see whether the project team has delivered the things that they needed to deliver before going on to the next phase. So I'm going to come back to that stopping point again, right? When project managers use phase gates as stopping points, it becomes a very powerful tool in how they're executing and driving the project. If they're not feeling good about the project, take it to the phase gate. Right? If they're seeing the deliverables are not complete, take it to the phase gate. You can fail a phase gate, right? Pause the project, get the work done, and then come back to that phase gate. Does that make sense? So they're critically important, but in this particular section, I just wanted to cover that they can go in certain parts of the waterfall process. I can't dictate where they would go exactly.